Welcome to International Movie Recap. And if you love deep, emotional stories, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for more interesting movie recaps. What if your entire life was built on mistakes, and one day you were forced to live someone else's truth? Han Kang-ho is a small-time criminal mocked, beaten by life, and treated as someone who will never matter. But somewhere out there lives his identical twin brother, Han Soo-ho, a respected judge who believes deeply in justice and the law. When Soo-ho suddenly disappears, Kang-ho is pushed into a world he doesn't understand. Wearing a judge's robe, sitting in a courtroom where every word can decide a person's fate. He doesn't know the law, doesn't know the rules. All he knows is pain, survival, and what it feels like to be powerless. But as he listens to the cries of the innocent and witnesses how the weak are crushed by the powerful, something inside him begins to change. Lies pile up, secrets threaten to explode. And the man who was never given a chance to be good must now decide, will he run from the truth or finally stand up for it? This is Your Honor 2018, a deeply emotional Korean drama about identity, second chances, and a broken man discovering justice in the most unexpected place. This is the story of how a nobody became the voice of the unheard.
This male student accidentally saw his twin brother being beaten by a group of people. At first, Kang-ho just intended to ignore his hateful brother. Unexpectedly, at this moment, a thug pulled out a knife. Kang-ho didn't have time to think much and immediately rushed to save his brother. In the midst of the chaos, the thug was accidentally stabbed by his own knife, so the whole group was taken to the police station. The police asked Kang-ho's brother, Soo-ho, if the knife belonged to Kang-ho. Surprisingly, Soo-ho nodded in confirmation. Soo-ho did this to take revenge on his hateful younger brother, and so all the blame fell on Kang-ho. Kang-ho stood motionless, looking at his brother, full of resentment. The injustice didn't stop there. Kang-ho's mother was never fair in love. Even if Soo-ho's words were wrong, to her, they were still the truth. Then she took Soo-ho's hand and left the police station. She didn't even bother to turn around and look at Kang-ho as if he was a stranger who had nothing to do with her. Kang-ho went to jail just because he saved his brother from a gang of thugs. Then Soo-ho passed the university entrance exam with the highest score in the country. Soo-ho's achievements were so outstanding that people thought he came from a very special family. Kang-ho went to jail and began a life full of hardship and despair. The twin brothers lived under the same roof, but from that moment on, their fates began to become completely opposite. The older brother became a famous and wealthy judge. The younger brother had nothing but fighting experience after his time in prison. Yet Soo-ho, who was once saved by Kang-ho's recklessness, never once visited him. Kang-ho faced his mother, who had coldly abandoned him, and in his heart there was only great hatred. When she gave him a bag of tofu, he snatched it without saying a word and left, leaving her standing there crying silently. But Kang-ho still turned his back to look at his mother once before leaving. A few days later, Kang-ho continued to fight continuously. He went to jail so often that the prison guards were very familiar with him. But what made Kang-ho even colder was his mother's attitude. She became more and more distant and indifferent to him. One time, she asked him if he would stop all this if she died. She asked him if he had to wait for her to die before he would stop causing trouble. But what Kang-ho was waiting for was not his mother's departure, but a simple apology from the person who gave birth to him and then abandoned him. But he could not hear that apology even once. On the bus back to his hometown that day, Kang-ho's mother sat in the front and quietly looked at her son, who had fallen asleep in the back seat, exhausted. She came forward and gently helped him sit up straight. There was only maternal love in her eyes at that time, but when they were walking back to the village, she suddenly stopped. Kang-ho didn't understand, so he asked why his mother didn't continue. His mother's answer made him feel even more pain. It turned out that she was afraid that if she went home with Kang-ho, she would be gossiped about by the villagers. So Kang-ho had to stand on the hill with his mother and wait until evening before they returned to the village. Actually, Kang-ho's mother was afraid of being embarrassed in front of the villagers. Not that her son would be gossiped about. Kang-ho was hurt and wanted to turn around and leave, but after taking a few steps, he was worried that his mother would be in danger here alone. So he took out his phone and showed his mother how to turn on the flashlight. That way, when it got dark, she would have something to light the way. As soon as Kang-ho got home, he was stopped right in front of the door by his old accomplice and demanded compensation. This person blamed Kang-ho for everything. Kang-ho didn't argue or admit his guilt. Instead, Kang-ho fought back as a way of answering. He thought everything was over, but that night, this person came going to Kang-ho's mother's house. She was going to call the police, but he had already called. He even prepared a medical certificate and a police report. Before Kang-ho could open his mouth to explain the reason, his mother scolded him. She asked him why he kept causing trouble, but the sad thing was that she didn't give him a chance to explain. He was so angry that his face turned red. Then he rushed into a fight with the other guy. Kang-ho even hit his head and knocked him unconscious. At this time, the police kept knocking on the door. Kang-ho stood up and wanted to escape from this place as soon as possible, but before Kang-ho could even get out of the door, he was pulled back by his mother. She was shocked, thinking that Kang-ho was going to find Suho to cause more trouble. She didn't hesitate to say that having a younger brother like him made Suho very embarrassed. Only then did Kang-ho remember that he had an older brother who was a judge. Kang-ho angrily told his mother that if she said so, he would go to Suho and kneel down to ask for help. Hearing this, his mother could not help but shout loudly. She told Kang-ho not to go there and bother Suho because he was very busy. Kang-ho could not hold back anymore and argued that she had said that if his father died, his eldest brother would be like his father. So for a loser like him, his brother's help was necessary. Suho was living a rich and famous life, but he calmly accepted money from powerful people to sentence innocent people to death. In his eyes, there were only two words: great benefits. As for the so-called conscience or humanity, they gradually became meaningless to him. Even the mother who devoted her whole heart to raising him was not important to him. Even though she brought him delicious dishes, she cooked herself every day. She was always treated coldly. Every time, Suho just annoyedly said that she should not come anymore because he was too busy. He had no time or interest in receiving things from his mother. He did not want anyone to see him standing with his mother. He even loved that his mother kept the things at the security guard's place. As for the things that she made for him, to him, they were just leftovers. When he got home, he saw the refrigerator full of things his mother brought, but he did not show any emotion or gratitude. He just sorted them and chose what to throw away. The maternal love that Kang-ho wanted his mother to share with him every day was not as important to Suho as his money. When Suho was about to take his mother's food to throw away, he was kidnapped by the family of the victim in the previous case. Kang-ho wanted to escape the police's pursuit, so he tried to find Suho's house. Kang-ho knocked on the door for a long time, but it was still quiet inside. What Kang-ho did not know was that Suho had been kidnapped at that time. Kang-ho stood in front of Suho's house and tried to enter the code, but kept getting it wrong. Kang-ho thought for a while, and then an idea came to him. Kang-ho tried entering his date of birth. Sure enough, the password was correct. Since they were twins, their birth dates were the same. When Kang-ho stepped inside, he was amazed by the high-class interior. He could feel the wealth just by looking at it. Without hesitation, he immediately put on his brother's clothes to disguise himself. But just as he was about to escape, the police arrived. Just as the police were about to escort Kang-ho away, Suho's assistant came to find Suho. Kang-ho took the opportunity to impersonate Suho. Kang-ho took Suho's work card and followed the assistant to the court. When Kang-ho arrived, he recognized Su-yeon, who had questioned him in prison. Kang-ho was so shocked that he almost froze on the spot. Kang-ho tried to leave quietly to avoid being discovered, but the assistant put a judge's robe on his shoulder and pushed him into the courtroom. At first, Kang-ho happily sat on the judge's chair without any fear, but when Kang-ho saw the verdict written in Chinese characters, he began to worry. Kang-ho's education level only stopped at middle school, so he could barely understand a legal document like this. Although Kang-ho tried to read and remember a few Chinese characters he had learned, the more he read, the more mistakes he made, and the more mistakes he made, the more confused he became. In the end, Kang-ho had to declare a 1-week postponement of the trial. After that, Kang-ho hurriedly returned to Suho's office, but before Kang-ho could calm down, his phone rang. Dozens of calls came in continuously, making Kang-ho even more confused. He knew he couldn't stay here any longer, so he made an excuse that he was too busy to leave. But as soon as Kang-ho went out, he discovered a group of thugs waiting for him in front of the door. Kang-ho hurriedly turned back to look at the courthouse map to find an escape route. As soon as Kang-ho reached the door, his phone rang again. The thing to note is that the caller ID was not displayed and was encrypted. The person on the other end of the line said that as long as Kang-ho declared the defendant innocent in the upcoming trial, he would prepare a big gift for Kang-ho. Hearing this, Kang-ho asked again which case. He replied that it was the case of Tycoon Ho-sung. Kang-ho immediately asked how much the big gift was. He was surprised, thinking that Kang-ho was joking. He also asked when Judge Su-ho knew how to joke like this. After saying that, he immediately hung up. He only left a message that they would meet in 2 days and then talk again. Kang-ho could not keep calm for another second, so he immediately returned to the office. No matter what happened, he had to wait until the day after that. As long as he did as the other party said, he could very well receive a large sum of money. Without hesitation, Kang-ho immediately asked his assistant to bring him all the files related to Ho-sung's case. Kang-ho then canceled all the trials for the next 2 days to focus on this case. However, when Kang-ho opened the verdict, he was still faced with incomprehensible Chinese characters. In the midst of the tension, Kang-ho suddenly had an idea. Kang-ho then immediately called intern Soo-yeon into his office and seriously asked her to convert all the Chinese characters in the document into Korean characters, and she had to translate it so that elementary school students could understand the entire content after reading it. Outside, the assistant stood watching in surprise. Soo-ho was known as a serious judge, but now in front of the manager, he seemed to have turned into a thug. At this moment, Soo-ho was being held head down by someone else. Soo-ho's kidnapper was a relative of a victim in a wrongful conviction case that Soo-ho had judged. Because Soo-ho accepted bribes, he sentenced the defendant to death. Now Soo-ho panicked and told the kidnapper that he was a judge. Soo-ho hoped that his status could save his life, but the kidnapper told Soo-ho his name, address, phone number, and even the type of coffee he drank. That meant the kidnapper knew who Soo-ho was. The kidnapper only wanted to kill Soo-ho. Soo-ho panicked and begged for his life, saying that if he only needed money, Soo-ho could give him as much as he wanted. But the kidnapper responded to Soo-ho with a contemptuous look and a strong punch that knocked Soo-ho to the floor. In Soo-ho's mind, there was only fear because over the years, he had accepted bribes and wrongly convicted so many people, so he had many enemies who had a legitimate reason to kill him. On the other side, Kang-ho was still playing the role of his brother's judge. Kang-ho brought Ho-sung's case file to Soo-yeon. After that, Kang-ho asked Soo-yeon to change the conclusion to innocent. But Soo-yeon is not the type of person who cannot distinguish right from wrong. When Soo-yeon recalled the arrogant and unrepentant expression of the perpetrator, she suddenly remembered her sister. It turned out that Soo-yeon's sister had been bullied by a rich young master to the point that she had to leave home. Until now, Soo-yeon's sister was still missing. Thinking of this, Soo-yeon's emotions became stronger. Soo-yeon decided to investigate the case herself. Ho-sung was a rich young master with plenty of money but no morals. Just because a bottle of mineral water fell to the ground, he angrily beat up a company employee. Not stopping there, he even kicked an elderly employee. Ho-sung took a camera and hit him hard in the face, causing him to fall to the ground with one eye bleeding. However, Ho-sung did not regret it at all. Ho-sung continued to find lawyer Oh and prosecutor Hong and said that if they helped him settle things properly, they would receive a $4 million reward. As soon as lawyer Oh opened his mouth to refute someone, Ho-sung punched him. Ho-sung even said that if the law did not allow it, then change the law. Furthermore, the son of the victim in the case was constantly threatened by Ho-sung. Ho-sung forced him to change his testimony. Ho-sung even gave him $4,000 to revise the appeal. In Ho-sung's eyes, justice was just a commodity that could be bought and sold. The poor were just supporting actors in a powerful movie. Directed by Ho-sung, Soo-yeon then went to the victim's family, hoping to understand the truth of the matter, but he said exactly the same as his testimony on paper. After saying that, he immediately turned around and left. Soo-yeon chased after him and asked if he did not intend to seek justice for his father just because of $4,000. He could only admit that if he went against Ho's wishes, his family would not be able to survive. So why did they have to pursue the case when they knew they couldn't win? When Soo-yeon got home, she couldn't stand it anymore. Soo-yeon decided to write a conclusion punishing Ho-sung in his sentence. The next day, Kang-ho saw the sentence and was extremely angry. Before that, Kang-ho told Soo-yeon to write that she was innocent. But when she told him the truth of the case, he angrily walked into the courtroom. Kang-ho asked Ho-sung if he had apologized to the victim. However, Ho-sung only said sorry because he had affected society. Seeing Ho-sung's expression that showed no remorse, Kang-ho became even angrier. Kang-ho told Ho-sung to sincerely apologize to the victim's family, but Ho-sung didn't think he had to do that because he had already paid compensation and they had already accepted it. Kang-ho laughed and then he suddenly sentenced the defendant, Ho-sung, to 7 days in prison. Kang-ho also exposed the truth that after the incident, Ho-sung's men tried to destroy the evidence and that he had absolutely no remorse. Ho-sung immediately flew into a rage and insulted the judge. Ho-sung also asked if Kang-ho knew who he was. Kang-ho got angry and continued to declare that Ho-sung was being detained for 10 days for disturbing the peace in court. Ho-sung challenged and threatened the judge again, but Kang-ho threatened Ho-sung that if he mentioned one more person, the detention time would be increased. But Ho-sung had never known fear before. Ho-sung even shouted in court that they could detain him for 20 days. Then Kang-ho challenged Ho-sung to say more. Kang-ho increased Ho-sung's detention time to 30 days. Ho-sung was extremely angry, but he did not dare to say another word. In the end, Ho-sung was escorted out, but he still did not change his arrogant attitude. Ho-sung hit Lawyer Oh's subordinates hard in the face and scolded them as a bunch of useless people. Lawyer Oh felt very upset when he saw his subordinate being beaten. Lawyer Oh told Ho-sung that if he didn't want to be detained, the only way was to pretend to be sick and faint. Then Lawyer Oh pushed Ho-sung down the stairs. Ho-sung fell down and looked at Lawyer Oh with angry eyes. At this time, at Kang-ho's place, the phone rang continuously. The main reason was because of today's trial. Kang-ho quietly went out, but he was followed by two men in black. At this time, Soo-ho was being brutally beaten. 2 days ago, Soo-ho was still a dignified judge, but now Soo-ho had to beg others to forgive him. Woo-jung held a tool and slashed towards Soo-ho. In the chaos, he broke the rope that tied his hands. When she rushed towards him, he stabbed her with an iron bar. She fell to the ground, and he took the opportunity to escape. Then Jae-hyun quickly took Woo-jung to the hospital. Thanks to that, Soo-ho escaped this kidnapping. On the way back, Soo-ho fell down the hill and passed out. At this time, Kang-ho was being followed in the parking lot. He immediately realized something was wrong. This person said that director Choi wanted to meet Soo-ho once. It turned out that this person chose to meet him in this way to avoid being discovered. The real reason for the meeting was because Kang-ho had judged Ho-sung. Director Choi's company was Ho-sung's opponent. They were very satisfied with his judgment. From Director Choi's tone, Kang-ho could guess that he had asked Soo-ho to punish Ho-sung before, and Kang-ho had unwittingly helped him. He even gave him $80,000 in cash as a thank you. At this time, Kang-ho knew the benefits of being a judge, but Kang-ho told Director Choi that this little benefit was a bit small compared to what he had done. Director Choi told Kang-ho that as long as there were results within a month, he would thank Kang-ho with a big surprise after the success. Kang-ho returned home and saw the $80,000 in front of him. Because of the surprise that Director Choi promised, Kang-ho prepared to return to the court to continue working. But as soon as Kang-ho arrived at the court gate, he was surrounded by reporters. They asked Kang-ho 100 questions in just 1 second. They said that people were discussing Kang-ho's verdict a lot. They asked Kang-ho if he could share his thoughts. Everyone was competing to get Kang-ho to look at them. A female reporter even asked if he could talk about his life philosophy. When Kang-ho entered the office, he felt full of energy. At this time, Soo-ho's superior arrived. He even asked Kang-ho to submit his resignation letter, but Kang-ho could not agree at this time. Then the superior called Kang-ho into the office to talk privately. He thought that Kang-ho did a good job with the verdict yesterday. Even though he was a senior, he had never dared to make such a decision. He felt touched and ashamed. At the same time, he also wanted to praise Kang-ho. They were all sincere words, but he told Kang-ho to quit his job, which was also sincere. Because this verdict would cause Kang-ho trouble, he wanted Kang-ho to quit his job quickly. Then he agreed to let Kang-ho quit after a month. Kang-ho returned to the office and started to organize the cases, but seeing the desk full of papers, he immediately felt extremely stressed. The number of cases in a month was more than the number of books Kang-ho had read, so Kang-ho had to go to Soo-yeon for help. Seeing the desk full of cases, she could only smile awkwardly. Kang-ho could finally relax. Kang-ho just didn't expect that the next day when he was sleeping soundly at home, the curtains were suddenly pulled open. A beautiful woman appeared before Kang-ho's eyes. Kang-ho was startled and immediately jumped out of bed. Only when he saw her clearly did he remember that she was his brother's girlfriend. Kang-ho thought to himself that since she was his brother's girlfriend, he had to keep his distance. Kang-ho hurriedly used the blanket to cover the tattoo on his arm because his brother didn't have a tattoo. But unfortunately, the two of them looked so much alike that she didn't even recognize them. She touched his chest, making him immobile. While eating, he suddenly remembered that she and his brother had broken up, but she didn't think so. She said that if she just heard an apology, she would forgive everything. As she spoke, she started to sob. Since childhood, Kang-ho had done nothing but fight. He couldn't stand women crying, so he immediately apologized to her. But she still didn't seem to accept it. Kang-ho didn't understand. He had clearly apologized, but she still hadn't accepted. He wondered what else she wanted. She leaned over and kissed him on the lips. At that moment, Kang-ho's mind went blank. Only then did Kang-ho realize that there was something more interesting than fighting, but she was his brother's girlfriend, so they had to keep their distance. This time she had a purpose. She was a TV host. Since his sentencing was exciting news, she was preparing to take him for an interview. He refused, but she still dragged him to the TV station. The filming went quite smoothly. When Kang-ho left the studio, he was exhausted and lay on the sofa. At this this time, Joo-hoon asked Kang-ho what kind of person his mother was. He said that his mother was very good to him because he was a judge, but Kang-ho was extremely confused, but she reminded him that he had said he didn't like his mother treating him like that. She wanted to know why he didn't care about his family and just wanted to live alone. Hearing that, he seemed to understand something. He said that because he wasn't raised well, he didn't understand the preciousness of mother-child love. He also didn't understand how precious family love was. Joo-hoon painfully told him not to blame himself anymore. That wasn't like him at all. Only then did Kang-ho realize that his brother had always disliked his mother. Even now that Soo-ho was rich, he had never let his mother come to his house. In the end, Soo-ho let his mother live alone in the countryside. Right now, when she called, he didn't want to pick up the phone at all. But Joo-hoon picked up the phone and answered. Reluctantly, he answered the phone, but inside was another voice. It was the guy who Kang-ho had beaten up 2 days ago. At this time, he was at Kang-ho's mother's house. He didn't know that the owner of this phone number was Kang-ho. He threatened that if he didn't pay, I would burn this place down. Mrs. Han didn't want the thug to bother her son, but she was pushed to the ground by him. Kang-ho heard the sound of his mother being pushed to the ground and promised that he would come back immediately. Kang-ho hurriedly got dressed and left, but Soo-ho's girlfriend thought that his mother was just making excuses to ask him for money. Was very angry when he heard that. He said that his mother had never asked him for money. She absolutely could not talk about his mother like that. After Kang-ho returned home and saw that his mother was safe, he could rest assured. Kang-ho called the other guy out and told him to get the money from the trunk. The next second, Kang-ho continued to hit him. Kang-ho warned him that if you came here to bother my mother again, I would definitely kill you. Mrs. Han still wanted to keep her son to eat, but Kang-ho was afraid that his mother would recognize him as Soo-ho, so he quickly returned to the car. Seeing her standing outside the car, he couldn't help but burst into tears. In his memory, she had never talked to him like that, but seeing him cry, she knew that the person in the car was Kang-ho. A second ago, she had asked Soo-ho to get out of the car and go home to eat, but the next second, when she discovered that the person in the car was Kang-ho, she immediately changed her attitude. She asked where Soo-ho was, but Kang-ho didn't want to explain, so he hurriedly drove away. She followed behind to ask what had happened. In the end, she accidentally fell to the ground. Kang-ho saw this and immediately stopped the car. He ran to help his mother up and looked at the wound on her hand with heartache, but in her eyes, there was only Soo-ho. She angrily asked Kang-ho why he was here. Why was Kang-ho driving Soo-ho's car? Kang-ho could only say that Soo-ho told him to come. She asked when Soo-ho would come, but Kang-ho said that Soo-ho was very busy and told his mother not to call anymore. Soo-ho didn't have time to answer the phone. Then Kang-ho said goodbye to his mother and left, but he felt very upset. He turned back and asked his mother why she didn't let him finish eating and then leave. She blamed him for not being ashamed and still wanting to eat. He cried and angrily said he wouldn't eat anymore. His mother felt guilty for saying something wrong, so she said she would cook instant noodles for him. But at that time, he still felt hurt, so he refused to eat. After Soo-ho escaped the kidnapping, he had a hard time getting home. He discovered that his phone and work card were gone. He suspected that it was the kidnappers. He quickly checked to see if his money was still hidden there, and then he remembered what the kidnappers said. They didn't seem to want his money, they just wanted his life. Moreover, they knew his home address, so he chose to leave immediately. But on the way, So accidentally saw the scene of himself being interviewed on TV. So confirmed that this was definitely his twin brother, whom he had hated since childhood. Seeing Kang-ho's appearance on the news, So was very angry. But in fact, ever since Kang-ho replaced his brother's identity, his troubles had never ended. In Kang-ho's original world, there was only the straightforwardness of his fists. But now, Kang-ho had to face terrifying conspiracies to deceive him. And because of justice, he had decided on a suitable punishment for Ho-sung. But what Kang-ho didn't expect was that the victim's family came to find him with a knife. After being restrained by Kang-ho with a few punches, he finally calmed down and told the truth. They never thought of pursuing this case to the end. This was a case they knew they couldn't win. They still have to live on. Soo-yeon asks if they won. He says that she and the judge won, not him. He says that they were happy to be heroes, but they don't know how much he suffered. It turns out that yesterday was the day of his father's cornea transplant surgery, but the surgery was not performed because Ho-sung got angry and punished him further. Ho-sung prevented the hospital from treating the victim. Not only that, he was fired from his company. All of this happened in one day. He received a fair judgment in theory, but in reality, he lost everything else. In a country where the rich have all the power, fighting them means being rejected by society. Kang-ho was very angry when he heard that. Kang-ho shouted at him to fight the villain to the end. Don't give up on justice out of fear. Kang-ho told him to listen clearly, that there are masters before before slaves, not masters before slaves. Then Kang-ho told Soo-yeon to leave with him. Although Kang-ho said such strong words, he was not at ease about the victim's family. In the middle of the night, Kang-ho placed the bribe he had received, $40, in front of their house. Then, Kang-ho called him through a payphone and said that there was money between the chili and lettuce. Kang-ho gave them the money not for him to live on, but for him to continue fighting. Kang-ho told him to take the money and sue Ho-sung. The victim's family asked if he was Judge Soo-ho. Were you crazy? How could the judge give him money? However, Kang-ho only told him not to give up but to persevere. He and his family must live well and not do anything stupid. Then Kang-ho wished him good night. The money Kang-ho had just earned was spent like that. Kang-ho felt very sorry, but he did not regret it. In the following days, Kang-ho would use all his abilities to protect justice. This woman was very happy when she found out she was pregnant, but on the way home, she was hit by a speeding car. The female driver had drunk too much alcohol and could not control her speed. When she saw the woman she had hit fall to the ground, she was so scared that she fainted. So the pregnant woman was not taken to the emergency room soon. At this time, in another place, the husband was still extremely happy. The child he had after 7 years of marriage made him happy. On the way home, he almost ran a red light, but he did not know that his wife and child had encountered such misfortune. In court, the female driver cried from the beginning to the end of the session. No matter what the judge asked, her answer was, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." She did not answer his question directly at all. Kang-ho looked at the repentant female driver in front of him and did not make things difficult for her anymore. At this moment, the victim's husband stood up. He did not expect that the woman was a devil. He had been thinking of ways to deal with her every day. If it were not for the law, he would have wanted to deal with her by now. His every word seemed to make her speechless, with tears in her eyes. She had really made a mistake, so what right did she have to say anything else? Kang-ho decided to let the victim's family calm down first, so he announced a 15-minute adjournment. The defendant was still crying in the elevator. Suddenly, Lawyer Oh told her that she did not need to cry anymore. She took out something that looked like lipstick from her pocket. This was the artificial tear stick that he had given her earlier. Her mission today was to not say anything and just cry until the end. She asked how long she needed to cry. He said about 5 to 10 minutes. She thought this kind of trial was boring, which was why she cried from beginning to end without ever feeling remorseful. He told her to keep a low profile during this time. She was absolutely not allowed to post about her partying activities on social media. She said that if someone died, she just needed to give money. In her eyes, any problem that could be solved with money was not a problem. Moreover, this was just a mistake she made after getting drunk. Soon it was time for the next trial. Kang-ho combined the previous trial results with his self-criticism. He announced the final verdict, giving her a 2-year suspended sentence. This result meant that she would not have to go to jail at all. Seeing her smiling in the defendant's chair, the victim's husband was extremely angry. He stood up and asked the judge why he forgave this devil. Could it be that because this was her first time killing someone, she could be forgiven? Moreover, from the beginning to the end, she had never truly repented. Even now, she still enjoys herself every day. What about his dead wife and unborn child? The husband asked Kang-ho if he knew that the moment before the accident was the happiest moment of his wife's life. He said Kang-ho didn't know anything. What right did Kang-ho have to make such a conclusion? At this moment, the defendant didn't hesitate to show a cold expression. She asked if the trial was over so she could go home. At this moment, Kang-ho finally knew that he had made a big mistake. Kang-ho regretfully left the court. Then Kang-ho went to the office and told his assistant to bring all the case documents. At this time, Kang-ho discovered the evidence that Soo-ho had thrown away. The husband took a knife from the kitchen. He wanted to kill the defendant because she had stabbed someone to death and still had no remorse. She still played around every day as if nothing had happened. He secretly took pictures of this evidence because he wanted her to be punished by law. But when she arrived at the court, she seemed to have changed. She cried from beginning to end. The photos he took were rejected by the judge on the grounds that the evidence was collected illegally. Kang-ho was completely unaware of those photos, so he made the wrong decision in the case. He returned to the office and found those photos. He was extremely remorseful at this time, but he didn't know what to do. The victim's husband went to the street where his wife died. He put down 2 pairs of shoes and headed towards their house. He hoped that his wife and children in the other world would be able to wear shoes. When he got home, he couldn't help but burst into tears. The next day, he appeared at the courthouse gate with a petition for justice hanging on his chest. He wanted to use this method to seek justice for his wife and children. When Kang-ho saw the husband, he slowly walked towards him. Kang-ho told him that it was useless to do so. People only cared about their own interests and didn't care about an ordinary person like him. but he was not shaken. He would continue until he got justice. Kang-ho told him that if he appealed, he had to prepare very carefully. The judge of the appellate court was not a simple person. Then he told him what he had discovered. It turned out that the handwriting in the defendant's self-criticism was different from the handwriting in her statement to the police. That meant that she had asked someone to write the self-criticism for her. Although this was not against the law, the defendant said that she wrote it herself, so he could use this to prove that she had never repented. She had given false testimony in court. He looked at Kang-ho in confusion. The judge was Kang-ho, so why was he the one saying these things now? But Kang-ho thought that this problem was his fault. Kang-ho opened the bottle of water he had just bought and gave it to the man. Kang-ho told him to drink some water so he wouldn't get exhausted. Kang-ho also gave him an umbrella to keep him from getting sunstroke. Kang-ho told him that the law had no authority in front of people. Kang-ho's eyes were filled with determination to carry out justice. The man looked at Kang-ho and realized that Kang-ho wasn't a bad person, so he took the umbrella. Kang-ho bowed deeply, hoping that the man would accept his apology. At this moment, his hatred for the young judge disappeared. This poor girl was born blind, but she relied on her extraordinary will to study and work at the same time. She was determined to become a novelist. Today, she wrote a letter to the judge. She hoped that the judge could teach her mother a lesson. When Soo-yeon saw the content of the letter, she couldn't help but cry. It turned out that just a few days ago, her mother took her to the amusement park, but on the roller coaster, she argued with the staff there because the staff wanted to give special instructions to the blind girl. But her mother thought that this action would make her feel embarrassed, but it was her loud argument that really hurt her. The staff thought that this was a mandatory job and he couldn't do anything else. Hearing her mother's loud shout, the little girl felt extremely embarrassed. She asked her mother if she had said enough. The girl also said she would never go out with her mother again. Her mother told her to sit down. Then her mother angrily pushed the employee down the escalator. She was later sued for disturbing the peace, and the girl wrote this letter. Soo-yeon told Kang-ho the contents of her letter. Soo-yeon felt sorry for the girl, but her mother was even more pitiful. After Kang-ho heard this, he decided to personally check whether the amusement park's rules were reasonable. Kang-ho used his status as a judge to go to the amusement park with Soo-yeon. The two climbed to the top of the roller coaster, and when it was about to fall, he blindfolded her. She was extremely scared. He encouraged her, and the two slowly went down. After experiencing this, she sat down on the ground. She learned the importance of safety education. She was finally able to write a fair verdict. The next day, Soo-yeon found the girl alone and asked her why she wanted to teach her mother a lesson. The girl said that this was not the first time her mother had caused trouble. According to her, it was all because of her disability. Her mother pitied her, so she took her anger out on others. After Soo-yeon heard this, she felt relieved. Then Soo-yeon told her story. When she was young, Soo-yeon always argued with her parents because of her older sister. Now that Soo-yeon thought about it, she always felt extremely regretful. After listening, the girl was very angry because she thought that Soo-yeon meant that the incident happened because she was angry with her mother. But Soo-yeon did not mean that at all. She told Soo-yeon to prepare well for tomorrow's trial. Then she angrily turned around and left. When Kang-ho arrived at the court, he scolded her mother. If she thought what she did was right, she should have done it properly, not in such an unreasonable and rude way. She quickly bowed her head and apologized. But when she saw her apologizing, her daughter stood up. The girl told Kang-ho to stop scolding her mother. He asked again that the girl told him to scold her mother, but she said that she didn't need to anymore. He was surprised that she kept changing like that, but she told him not to scold her mother anymore because she was the mother she loved the most. Although the mother received a suitable punishment, the mother-son relationship improved completely. After this incident, Kang-ho went home that night because he missed his mother. He lay next to his mother and recalled the beautiful memories. She also expressed her wish to hold her two sons' hands and go out for a walk. Even if they couldn't go out, just being together as a family was enough. That was also her biggest wish. But she didn't know that her brother, who hadn't shown up yet, was about to harm his younger brother again. Just as Kang-ho was about to open the car door, a man in black suddenly rushed in with a wrench. He leaned to avoid the near-fatal blow and then struggled fiercely with him. He had been a fighter since he was young, so he quickly gained the upper hand. Seeing that he could not fight back, the other party immediately threw the wrench and ran away. Kang-ho looked at the wrench on the ground and decided to investigate the truth. In fact, the attacker was none other than a family member of a victim. He was the one who kidnapped Soo-ho, but ever since Soo-ho escaped from him, he had been looking for him. Soo-ho escaped and discovered that Kang-ho was impersonating him, so he took the opportunity to use Kang-ho's identity to distract the enemy. Soo-ho hid in a place where no one knew. Soo-ho entrusted the bar owner to investigate the mastermind mastermind who wanted to kill him. She quickly found out the results. When Suho saw the document, an image of the past appeared in his mind. At that time, Suho had sentenced him to death. The defendant's wife rushed to protest, but she was stopped. The family of the executed person could only cry out for injustice. The wife was taken out for causing trouble. As for Suho, he was sentenced to death for accepting bribes. Thinking of this, he felt extremely regretful. At this moment, Jae-hyun took out a bottle of sleeping pills and gave it to Woo-jung. He said that he just had to put this in the air conditioner of the judge's car, and if he inhaled too much, he would faint on the spot. He had carefully found a place to install a surveillance camera, but since their failed attack, Woo-jung was not at ease. She hoped that they would work together in the future, but Jae-hyun hesitated. As for Suho, he had changed a lot. After all, he had attacked someone else. At this moment, Woo-jung loudly scolded Jae-hyun. In order to cover up the drug use, the rich people used his brother as a scapegoat. His brother's case was complicated. Even if the media reported false information, the two of them had provided a lot of evidence, but the judge deliberately ignored it. Woo-jung thought that Suho was the reason why their brother had died so unjustly. The younger brother immediately promised that he would definitely capture Suho and hand him over to Woo-jung to deal with. He took advantage of the moment when no one was around to open Kang-ho's car door and put sleeping pills in it. When Kang-ho arrived, he knew nothing about this, so Kang-ho immediately fainted. He looked at Kang-ho's face in the car and remembered the time when Suho sentenced his brother to death. He angrily pulled Kang-ho up and punched Kang-ho repeatedly in the face, but he didn't know that Suho was sitting in the opposite car. Suho had filmed this scene. Suho was truly a terrible brother. Suho watched Kang-ho get punched, and yet he still held a camera to film it. In Suho's eyes, Kang-ho was just the one who took the blame for him. Seeing the other side take Kang-ho away, Suho also followed closely behind. At this moment, he remembered the scene before when he had dinner with his mother. The topic she always talked about was Kang-ho. She said he was in jail again. She hoped Suho could save Kang-ho, but he was upset and said that he had already paid the lawyer and the settlement money. But she said that it wasn't about money. Even though Kang-ho had made mistakes over and over again over the years, she knew in her heart that he wasn't bad. She hoped that Suho could teach him a lesson so that he could live better life. But it had been 10 years since Kang-ho went to jail, and Suho hadn't seen him. Suho told her to give up on Kang-ho. Kang-ho couldn't start his life over again. But the mother said that even if she gave up her life, she couldn't give up on her children. Her feelings were always that strong. Hearing this, Suho was extremely angry. He asked his mother if the two of them sitting together could only talk about Kang-ho. He asked her if there was nothing else to talk about. Then Suho blamed her for mentioning Kang-ho every day. Finally, Suho said that if she loved Kang-ho so much, she should manage Kang-ho well and not push him onto her. Suho angrily took his clothes and went out. His mother called him back and said that she still hoped he could save his brother. But when he heard that, he turned away heartbroken. He asked his mother if she couldn't save him a little. Compared to that annoying brother, he was the one who needed help. Thinking back to this point, Suho told himself that he followed not because he was afraid that his brother would be in danger, but because he just wanted to clarify the truth. The victim's brother was driving in front. From the rear-view mirror, he discovered that someone was following him, so he accelerated to run away. When he reached a deserted road, he deliberately backed up and crashed into Suho's car from behind. He got out of the car and picked up a brick on the ground to hit Suho. But after he saw Suho's face, he was no longer calm and quickly ran away. Suho opened the car door and saw Kang-ho sitting in the back seat. Suho angrily pulled Kang-ho up and was about to punch Kang-ho a few times. Since going to school, Suho had been constantly dealing with the consequences for Kang-ho. The thugs who were beaten by Kang-ho couldn't find him, so they came to beat Suho. Although Kang-ho stood up to protect Suho, he just wanted Kang-ho to disappear. This was also the reason why Suho lied at the police station. Thinking of this, Suho lowered his hand. Suho was afraid that Kang-ho would be in danger again. Suho waited until morning before leaving. When Kang-ho woke up and saw the wounds on his body, he realized that he was in danger. Kang-ho hurriedly went to the court to investigate the truth. But when Kang-ho saw the documents his assistant gave him, he realized that his brother had made a big mistake. It all started many days ago. At that time, there was a man who killed his mother with his own hands. After doing these things, he burst out laughing happily. In court, he admitted all his crimes and was sentenced to death by Judge Suho. However, he was mentally handicapped. Although he could not communicate normally with people, he was able to find a job through his efforts. Every day, besides work, he only took care of his bedridden mother. Although he was very filial and obedient to his mother was extremely miserable. She thought that she had made her son suffer. She called her son to her side and gave him all her last savings. Then she said that she was a bit cold, so she asked her son to cover her with a blanket. She also told her son to remember to cover her face. He was stupid and only knew how to do as his mother said. Seeing that his mother did not say anything more, he thought that she was asleep, so he smiled with satisfaction and left. He still did not know that his mother had passed away. His family wrote a letter to the judge to say that he was mentally retarded. According to Korean law, people with this problem cannot be sentenced to death, but this was used by the tycoons to make media to cover up the case of rich kids using drugs. They also bribed Director Hong to threaten the mentally retarded young man. Director Hong said that if he did not do as I said, he would never be able to go home to see his family again. Director Hong also asked why he killed his mother. He could only say that it was for money because she was in the hospital and had no money to pay the hospital bill. But he kept repeating the conclusion that it was all for money. Director Hong praised him for his good answer. If anyone asked him in the future, he could just answer like that. As long as he did, the judge would let him go home. Then he could see his family again. In the end, he confessed in court. The chief judge used the excuse that he had successfully found a job in order to prove that he had no mental problems. The chief judge asked Suho to sentence him to death. Suho was also bribed by the tycoons. Suho had not yet investigated the truth and sentenced the poor man to death. Just like that, the young man became a scapegoat for the rich man to cover up his crimes. The victim's family then took revenge on Suho. That was why he disappeared without a reason. When Kang-ho learned the truth, he decided to seek justice for the victim's family. But the victim's family did not know. They went to Suho's mother and found out that he had a twin brother. When Woo Jung found out, he decided to take action against her. But Jae-hyung hesitated. He asked her if she really had to do that. Was Suho's brother's death entirely her responsibility? Jae-hyung looked at the visitation records and saw that his brother had ended his life after he met her. He asked what they had said at that time, but she immediately fell silent. She remembered the scene in prison. She asked her husband why he lied, but he repeated what Director Hong said, because if he didn't say that, he wouldn't be able to go home. At that moment, she was completely disappointed. She said that she had suffered so much to save him, but why didn't he listen? She cried as she spoke. At that moment, she was both angry and helpless because of him, and everyone was in despair. Finally, she told him that if he wanted to die so badly, he should end his life himself. He shouldn't make her suffer anymore. He listened to her in anger. That night, he ended his life. Jae-hyung asked her again if it was really because of Suho, but she answered without hesitation that it was because of Judge Suho. So they decided to kidnap Suho again. When Kang-ho had just returned home from work, Woo Jung knocked him out with a stick. When Kang-ho woke up, he was at the place where Suho was kidnapped. Kang-ho told them that they had found the wrong person. He was Judge Suho's twin brother, but Woo Jung kicked Kang-ho and said that he saw him coming out of the court with his own eyes. Moreover, Woo Jung had been following him for several days. Kang-ho asked if everyone coming out of the court was a judge, but Woo Jung didn't say anything and pulled out a knife. She was preparing to avenge her dead husband. At the moment of danger, Jae-hyung received a call from Suho. He wanted to meet them. She was confused and asked who the phone was from. He said it was Judge Suho's. The two looked at each other in confusion and realized that they had arrested the wrong person. Kang-ho also took advantage of the moment when they weren't paying attention to secretly untie them. Not long after, Suho arrived and was also tied up. Kang-ho told them that this was the judge they were looking for. Then Suho also said that judges are not allowed to have tattoos. Suho told them that they could see Kang-ho's right arm. The woman pulled his shirt open and saw the tattoo. They finally confirmed that they had arrested the wrong person. She immediately walked towards Suho, then pulled out a knife and forced him to apologize to his husband. But Suho said that the story of her husband killing his mother was true. Whether it was because of low intelligence or any other reason, it couldn't change the truth. Jae-hyung was furious after hearing that. Jae-hyung kept kicking Suho and punching him. Suho apologized to them for not seeing the whole truth and hastily sentencing that person to death. The defendant should have been sentenced to a maximum of 10 years in prison. Woo Jung asked Suho why he ended the case so hastily, but Suho looked at her and asked if she didn't think that her husband did that because she told him to go die. Suho had made the wrong decision and she had said something she shouldn't have, so they were both accomplices, but she didn't admit her mistakes at all. She blamed Suho for everything. She angrily shouted that everything had turned out like this because of him. Now it was Kang-ho's turn to tell them to stop. Kang-ho broke the rope and stood up because they had fought many years later. He didn't give the other party a chance chance to fight back. After a few blows, he tied up the other two. Then Kang-ho went to untie Soo-ho. Then he punched his brother in the face. He told the other two that if they wanted revenge, they should appeal. Let Soo-ho go to court and repent. Then Kang-ho bowed his head, hoping that they could forgive Soo-ho. But she laughed coldly and said that weren't Kang-ho and Soo-ho family? When Kang-ho heard that, he had no choice but to tell them about his past. When Kang-ho was young, his mother moved his household registration. The reason was because he had a criminal record. She felt ashamed to be family with him. After saying that, he apologized to them once again and walked out of the warehouse. Soo-ho went to kneel before them and sincerely apologized, and he gave them a lawyer's business card. If they appeal, Kang-ho will testify in court. The two walked out of the warehouse, joking and talking on the phone. From that moment on, the two cleared up their misunderstandings and then brought the criminals to justice. As for Ho-sung, after being sentenced to 7 days in prison by Kang-ho, he immediately pretended to be sick and stayed in the hospital for a few days. After being released, he still did not change his miserable attitude. He still lived a life of debauchery as before. He continued to smoke drugs and even beat up the waiters. After the incident, he asked his girlfriend Haina to take the blame for him. As long as she admitted in court that she had accidentally used drugs alone, he could guarantee that he would help her career in the future. In court, Kang-ho said that he was a fan of Haina. Only fans would truly support her and want the best for her. He hoped she would tell the truth. Haina recalled what lawyer Oh told her before the trial. He warned her to do as he said. She still had to shoot a commercial and start acting again. Only the tycoon could help her with these things. Lawyer Oh told Haina to say that she was the only one using drugs that day. So in front of Kang-ho, Haina said as scripted. Kang-ho wanted to check Haina's phone to see if there was any evidence of contacting Ho-sung, but director Hong had been bribed by the tycoon, so he refused to provide the phone information because there was no evidence. At this time, Lawyer Oh stood up and said that Haina had suffered from severe depression due to the impact of the case. He submitted the certificate issued by the hospital. He asked the judge to quickly pass sentence. The pressure from many sides made Kang-ho tense. Kang-ho then turned to another person related to the case. This person was the waiter who was beaten by Ho-sung. Unexpectedly, he said in court that he was the one who beat people. It turned out that after Ho-sung beat him, Ho-sung bribed him. Ho-sung told Ji-min to testify falsely in court. The purpose was to cover up Ho-sung's drug use. Kang-ho asked Ji-min to tell the truth, but Ji-min said that he had an argument with his manager. Out of anger, he beat the manager. Kang-ho looked at the suspicious testimony and then asked the other party if he was good at fighting. Ji-min said that he didn't know how to fight. Kang-ho said that the manager he beat was a judo athlete. Then Ji-min must be very good at fighting. Ji-min quickly said that he was very good at fighting. So Ji-min fell into Kang-ho's trap. Kang-ho stepped down from the judge's chair. This surprised everyone. They had worked for so many years and had never seen a judge step down from the podium. Lawyer Oh spoke up, but Kang-ho asked back if there was any rule that forbade him from stepping down. Lawyer Oh said nothing more. Then Kang-ho reached out to Ji-min. Ji-min thought Kang-ho wanted to shake hands, but Kang-ho held Ji-min's hand tightly. With Kang-ho's many years of fighting experience, he knew that such soft hands could not be used for fighting. Kang-ho held Ji-min's hand and told everyone that these were not the hands of someone who was good at fighting. Then Kang-ho asked Ji-min if she didn't know how to fight. Kang-ho kept asking, and finally he got the answer that Ji-min actually didn't know how to fight, but Ji-min just said he was very good at fighting. Now Ji-min was so scared that he couldn't lie. This contradicted what Ji-min had said in court. Then Kang-ho prepared to call another victim who had also been beaten by Ho-sung, but director Hong was bribed, so he used the excuse that the person's testimony was consistent with the defendant's to refuse Kang-ho's request. But Kang-ho asked him if the judge couldn't summon a witness. Kang-ho announced that he would summon the witness next week before passing sentence. After they left the courtroom, Ji-min looked for lawyer Oh. He said that he didn't want to give false testimony anymore because this judge always made him feel like he could be discovered at any time. Moreover, the truth was more terrifying than he had imagined. That day, Ji-min was just bringing wine to the rich young masters, but Ho-sung used drugs and had hallucinations. Ho-sung beat Ji-min up. Luckily, the manager arrived in time and stood in front of Ho-sung. Otherwise, Ji-min would have died. Ji-min didn't want to do anything against his conscience because of this bastard, but lawyer Oh threatened Ji-min, saying that if he didn't do as I said, I would tell him about his drug dealing. At that time, Ji-min's crime would be even more serious. Ji-min remained silent. In another development, Kang-ho pretended to be a customer and went to the manager. Kang-ho deliberately provoked him to test his fighting ability. Unexpectedly, he defeated Kang-ho with just a few moves. He was indeed a judo athlete. Reluctantly, Kang-ho had no choice but to reveal his identity. The manager immediately showed respect for Kang-ho. He also knew why Kang-ho came here. He quickly said that he didn't know anything. Kang-ho told him that he would help him deal with the person who threatened him. After the trial, Hae-na also went to see lawyer Oh. She was worried that with the crimes she confessed, she would most likely be sentenced to 5 years in prison. Moreover, her reputation would be ruined forever. But lawyer Oh calmly told her that Ho-sung had been sentenced to 7 days in prison, but it only took a few days for lawyer Oh to successfully get him out. Even if she was sentenced to 5 years, he could still get her out, but she was worried that her reputation would be affected. However, he angrily told her to tell the truth in court. After all, she had given false testimony. Plus, she had also used drugs, so her reputation wouldn't improve much. Hae-na was completely hopeless. Now she couldn't trust lawyer Oh or Ho-sung anymore. He even sarcastically said that if she didn't trust them, then how could she trust the judge? Would the judge invest in her to film a commercial? He asked her what to do now. She still hadn't given up on meeting Ho-sung, but at this moment, he only wanted to cut off his relationship with her, so he couldn't see her again. At this moment, she realized that she was just a toy that he could throw away at any time. The bar manager went to Ho-sung and lawyer Oh. He said that the judge came to ask him to be a witness in court. Lawyer Oh said that the witness could refuse to testify, but the manager wanted to go to court to tell the truth. Ho-sung couldn't stand it anymore. Ho-sung asked him how much money he wanted. He told them not to hurt his pride. Ho-sung laughed after hearing that. Ho-sung said that giving him money was looking down on him. Everyone has a different status from birth, and their position in life is also different. How could letting him realize his position become a matter of hurting his pride? But he couldn't listen anymore. He told Ho-sung that money can't solve everything. Ho-sung angrily threatened him that if he wanted to testify in court, he would just wait and see what would happen. The next day, Kang-ho went to court and continued to ask Hae-na if she was the only one who used drugs, but she said it was true. She thought it was a hangover cure and didn't know it was drugs, so she used it. She also seemed very sure of what she said. Although Kang-ho was very disappointed in her, he didn't give up. He told her that he was asking her if she was a good person as a fan. She confirmed that she was a good person. Lawyer Oh then explained that Hae-na had recently participated in charity work. She realized her crimes and repented. He hoped that the court could incorporate this into the sentencing date, but Kang-ho laughed sarcastically. Kang-ho then asked Jimin if his previous testimony was true. Jimin admitted once again. The court called the witness, but the result was that the witness was not present. Kang-ho's subordinates called the witness, but could not contact him. At this moment, Kang-ho completely understood that everyone had been bribed. Kang-ho angrily left the judge's chair. Director Hong looked at lawyer Oh, and the two of them laughed out loud. They were happy to see Kang-ho's defeated appearance. Then they joked with each other about whether they should bribe him. They had never met such a fearless lawyer. Director Hong found Kang-ho alone and told him not to be stubborn anymore. Director Hong also asked Kang-ho to stand on his side like before. Doing so would be good for everyone. Moreover, they had worked together happily before. However, lawyer Oh did not know that the person in front of them was Kang-ho. Director Hong continued to threaten Kang-ho that if he wanted to continue being a judge, he had to listen to them. They then left unhappily. Kang-ho then found Hae-na alone and showed her his phone to prove that he would not record anything. He was only meeting her as a fan. He told her that according to the crime she had confessed to, she would be sentenced to at least 5 years in prison. Then her life would be completely ruined. He asked her again if she was a good person. She asked what she should do. He told her to become a good person. At this time, Jimin also arrived. Jimin pretended not to know Hae-na. Kang-ho did not want to say much. He just warned them that if they met him, they would consider themselves unlucky. He would definitely investigate to the end. Then he left. The two people who remained were completely terrified. Jimin asked Hae-na what happened. She helplessly said that they were about to have a big problem. After going out, Kang-ho went to Ho-sung's secret base. When Kang-ho entered the room, Ho-sung only glanced at him. Ho-sung sat on the chair with an arrogant expression. Then Ho-sung said that they had all used drugs. Kang-ho knew all of this. Moreover, not long ago in this room, Kang-ho accepted lawyer Oh's proposal. Kang-ho used the death sentence of that mentally handicapped man to cover up the matter of him beating his subordinate. He thought they were talking about him, but in just a short time, Suho seemed to have become a different person. Kang-ho was surprised because he didn't know how many things his brother had done against his conscience. Ho-sung looked at Kang-ho silently and continued saying, "Don't think I don't know about you," threatening Hae-na. Ho-sung also said that his opponent had only spent $800 and had already bribed him. Then he was too ordinary. Ho-sung then took out a blank check. Ho-sung looked Kang-ho in the eye and said that he could write whatever amount he wanted on this check. Ho-sung would immediately pay Kang-ho and they could live freely in this country. Ho-sung then told his subordinates to celebrate the return of the runaway runaway kid. He meant that the young judge had returned as his ally. Seeing Kang-ho receive the check, Ho-sung wanted to raise his glass to celebrate, but Kang-ho was drinking alone. Kang-ho asked Ho-sung what the maximum amount he could write was. The rich guy next to him interrupted and said that it was such a large amount that it would hurt Kang-ho's pride. Kang-ho angrily said that he still had to prepare for the trial tomorrow. When Kang-ho turned to leave, he saw Hae-na coming in. Ho-sung hugged Hae-na and invited Kang-ho to have a drink before he left. Ho-sung said that Kang-ho really liked Hae-na. Ho-sung also told Hae-na to buy Kang-ho a drink, but when Ho-sung saw the number Kang-ho wrote on the check, he quickly rubbed his eyes. Kang-ho sneered and said that he knew Ho-sung would be scared. Ho-sung angrily asked what Kang-ho wanted. Was it because of the two words justice? Ho-sung said that this word was meaningless to them, but Kang-ho told them that the sense of justice was old. Kang-ho simply hated them. After that, Kang-ho left without looking back. The people who stayed behind didn't know what to do. As soon as he returned to the court, Kang-ho was brought to a disciplinary meeting because he had delayed the opening of the trial several times without a reasonable reason. He received many complaints for not focusing on his work. He thought that the judge's trial time was too short. There were so many cases every day that the judges were often unable to see the truth of the case and rushed to close the case. But the people sitting there had already received the notice, so they didn't listen to his explanation at all. They told him to go out and reflect on himself. He turned around to leave, but he couldn't control his anger. He turned back and told them that they already had the results. This disciplinary meeting was just a formality. He admitted that he had indeed made a transaction during the trial, but he asked which of them had never done it. Director Hong wanted to scold Kang-ho, but he was retorted. Kang-ho told him that opening his mouth was harassment, so he should shut up. He asked Kang-ho what nonsense he was talking about. Kang-ho scolded him for looking like a wanted criminal, yet he was still discussing women's figures. He was confused and immediately denied it. He said that he was a member of the disciplinary committee, so Kang-ho had to be polite. Kang-ho said that he didn't want to be disciplined by someone like you. Kang-ho asked if they were that afraid of rich people. If they suspended Kang-ho because of this, he would show them what a crazy judge was like. Kang-ho would expose everything he knew. These words left Director Hong speechless. Kang-ho walked out of the conference room, and only Soo-yeon was waiting there anxiously. She kept encouraging him. At this moment, the two of them felt closer. At this time, Jimin went to Lawyer Oh and showed him the recording of their conversation to threaten him. He said that he had suffered so much and only received $25,000, which was a bit too little. He wanted at least $250. Otherwise, this recording would be exposed. At that time, the law firm would be criticized by the public. Lawyer Oh calmly asked him if he knew that the law firm had filed a class action lawsuit against women who had been humiliated by Japanese companies. This was the largest law firm in Korea. Even though they had been cursed by countless people, they were still the largest law firm in Korea. Lawyer Oh said that he had great power. Jimin was completely scared and quickly apologized, but Lawyer Oh told Imin to go abroad. If he doesn't allow it, Jimin shouldn't come back. At this time, made another appointment to meet Hae-na. He told her that tomorrow was the last trial. This time, he made an appointment to apologize to her. He shouldn't have threatened her before. She asked him what the final result would be. He said it would be the same as what Lawyer Oh had said. She breathed a sigh of relief. He continued, saying that they would all be charged with this crime in the future. She was a little surprised and didn't understand what the crime meant. He told her that the tycoons deliberately exaggerated other news to cover up their crimes, causing a person who shouldn't have died to be sentenced to death. When she was completely clueless, he continued to tell her all the relevant facts. Then he said that actors are people who bring happiness to people, make people cry, make people laugh, make people angry. They take revenge on the bad guys for others. He asked her if that would make people happy. He spoke with extremely sincere words. At this moment, she was moved to tears. One thing he could guarantee was that he would support every work she produced in the future, and he would always cheer her on. Finally, he made an appointment to meet her in court. This was a trial without any suspense. From Director Hong to the defendant, everyone had been bribed by the tycoons. In order to win the trial, Lawyer Oh had come to Hae-na before. He also brought Ho-sung to see her. Ho-sung told Lawyer Oh to go somewhere else, and he told her to wait until the trial was over and then go to Africa to do volunteer volunteer work. 3 months later, when she returned, everything would be the same. But she asked him again, was she just a toy to him? Hearing that, he sarcastically asked her if she still dared to dream of becoming a tycoon's wife. Then he complimented her on how adorable she was. She asked back, can't you have a dream? He affirmed that she could have a dream, but she couldn't be delusional. An evil person like him was probably about to get his retribution. Hearing his answer, she was completely disappointed. But the next second, he realized that he had just said something he shouldn't have said. He quickly said sweet words to coax her, but after talking for a while, even he himself found it funny. At the trial, Judge Kang-ho asked again, but Chief Justice Hong and Attorney Oh both said that they had nothing to at present. Kang-ho sneered and asked if they were forcing him to pass a sentence quickly. Then he would give them what they wanted. It was time for the defendant to present his final statement. As expected, Han also had nothing to say. Reluctantly, he said that he would officially announce the sentence next Wednesday. Attorney Oh and Chief Justice Hong nodded in agreement. But at this moment, Han stood up and said that she wanted to present her final statement. At this moment, he knew that the opportunity to change the situation had come. Unexpectedly, what she said was still the same as before. He was completely disappointed. He was about to pack up his documents when she suddenly apologized and then admitted that it was all a lie. Tears fell from her eyes. She was determined to tell the whole truth. That day, she had been drinking with Ho Sung and a few others. One of the young masters said that he was going to become a counselor. To celebrate, they drank alcohol and used drugs. Due to the overdose, Ho Sung had hallucinations. He beat up the waiter and the manager. Seeing that the incident was exposed, he immediately told her to confess alone, in exchange for him providing her with financial support in the future. Kang-ho asked her why she only changed her statement now. She said that she met a fan yesterday. The fan hoped that she could become a good person. Maybe she really understood what she should do. Those words were also what Kang-ho said. She wanted to become an actress who brought happiness to everyone. Kang-ho asked her if she could name the people who used drugs with her that day. She named them one by one without hesitation. Ho Sung, CEO of Osan Group, Professor Kang In-gu of Korea University, Hospital Dean Choi Min-suk. Each name that was mentioned made the listeners surprised. When the last name appeared, Soo-yeon immediately froze on the spot. Then Kang-ho read each name out loud again and asked him to prosecute them for violating the drug control law and obstructing public service. Director Hong heard it and only frowned. But in front of the media, he had no choice but to accept it. The next thing waiting for Ho Sung would be the punishment of the law. Then Kang-ho announced the end of the trial. When he turned to leave, he stopped and bowed to everyone below, because this would probably be his last sentence in court. After they went out, Soo-yeon went to Kang-ho. Soo-yeon asked suspiciously about the person Han had just mentioned. The hospital heir, Choi Min-suk, and the person who raped Soo-yeon's sister, were they the same person? Her sister had been forced into bed by Choi Min-suk in the past. Choi Min-suk brutally pulled Ji-yeon's hair. No matter how much she cried or screamed, it was useless. When she went to court, his defense attorney told her to recount the incident in detail. This request left her completely speechless. The only witness said they did not hear any cries for help. He was eventually released in court due to lack of evidence. Ji-yeon has tried to end her life many times since then, but Soo-yeon stopped her. But not long after, Soo-yeon did not hear any news from her sister. In the following days, Soo-yeon studied hard and passed the entrance exam to the best law school and became a trainee judge. Also that one day she could clear her sister's name. Today, the person who assaulted Ji-yeon was prosecuted for violating the law on drug use. The evil person was finally punished, and all of this was thanks to Kang-ho. He single-handedly punished the evil person. Soo-yeon couldn't control her emotions anymore. Even though it was a public place, she only wanted to do one thing with him. He didn't hesitate to tell her to do it. She put her arms around his shoulders and complimented him on how handsome he was. She even told him that he was her favorite judge. When Kang-ho returned to the office, his superior came to see him. It turned out that Soo-ho had secretly submitted his resignation to his superior. His superior had approved it and said that he could handle it within a week. He would also find a way to erase what happened at the disciplinary committee earlier. No matter what, he wouldn't let Soo-ho leave the court with a bad reputation. When Kang-ho left, he looked at the judge's robe in front of him and felt a little regretful. It wasn't because he regretted the position, but because he had done too little. But anyway, he had won against the tycoons. Kang-ho pulled Soo-yeon out of work to relax. They played games and enjoyed this rare moment together. After work, he went to the gift shop. He didn't know what she liked, so he took one of each kind and brought it to her house. She was shocked at the sight before her. She complained that he was spending money carelessly. He quickly changed the subject, saying that he wanted to cook for her, so the two of them got busy in the kitchen. At that moment, Lawyer Oh called Soo-yeon. He said that he was down downstairs and wanted to meet her. It turned out that he had always liked her, and she had also been moved by him. But because he had helped Choi Min-suk in her sister's case, she had not agreed to love him. He saw that she and Kang-ho were getting closer and closer, so he wanted to find her to tell her the secret of that case. The witness in her sister's case was Judge Soo-ho. She was completely shocked at this moment. Kang-ho had always said that he had a secret to tell her. Now she finally knew what that secret was. At this moment, Kang-ho had no idea what was going on. He was still making a delicious dinner for his lover. He was preparing to confess to her today. Seeing that she had not returned for a long time, he decided to go down to look for her. As soon as he opened the door, he saw her sitting on the stairs. He hurriedly ran over to ask her what was wrong. She said that she already knew his secret. She started asking him a series of questions. He thought that she already knew his identity. Unexpectedly, she continued to say that it was because of his lies that her sister had been wronged and the bad guy who had raped her sister had been released. Hearing these words, he finally understood what was going on. He was frozen in place. He did not know that his brother was an accomplice. He wanted to explain, but she did not want to listen. Director Hong then found an opportunity to talk to Soo-yeon privately. He reminded her that her internship was about to end. Finding a job would also be difficult because Soo-ho had quit her job, so she had lost her supporter, and of course he did not forget to show his support. As he spoke, he glanced at her with an unkind look, and then he took the opportunity to ask how Soo-ho was doing recently. Soo-yeon replied that she had not contacted Soo-ho. He began to talk about how valuable his letter of recommendation was to her. Then he immediately went forward and reached out to touch Soo-yeon. She did not say anything, but silently counterattacked with the move he had taught her. The bar owner, who happened to witness it, could only give her a thumbs up and encouragement. Only then did Soo-yeon coldly declare that she would officially sue Director Hong for all the harassment he had done in the past. He was very surprised. She turned around and left. Kang-ho took the opportunity to find the guy he had fought with before. As soon as he saw Kang-ho's face, the guy threw a punch. Kang-ho did not fight back, but calmly stood still and took 2 more punches. Of course, Kang-ho did not take the punches for fun. Kang-ho's purpose was to make him a little angry. Then Kang-ho asked him for help. Through this guy's connections, Kang-ho wanted to find out the whereabouts of Soo-yeon's sister. Kang-ho threatened that if he was slow, Kang-ho would be the one to punch him next time. Kang-ho also talked about his criminal evidence. Knowing that he could not joke, the other guy had no choice but to listen and turn around and leave. Kang-ho continued to look for an old acquaintance, Ma Ryong, who used to be a gang leader, but now he chose to live a peaceful life as an employee at a fast food restaurant. It's true that love can change a person, especially when he dreams of becoming a chef. Ma Ryong asked the restaurant owner to let Kang-ho apprentice, but the restaurant owner did not listen to Ma Ryong and immediately rejected Kang-ho. But Kang-ho was not an ordinary person. Kang-ho just silently took out $25,000 in cash. The amount of money was so large that everyone had to open their eyes wide. As soon as she saw the pile of money, the restaurant owner's attitude immediately changed. She immediately enthusiastically introduced her restaurant to Kang-ho. She also affirmed that her restaurant was absolutely committed to food hygiene and professional service. She just didn't know if Kang-ho was satisfied, or maybe he wanted to see the facilities. First, Ma Ryong immediately objected, but the restaurant owner pretended she didn't hear. She even pushed him away and continued to entertain the potential customer. In order for Kang-ho to get the job smoothly, she promised to support him to the fullest. After that negotiation, Kang-ho studied seriously. He diligently practiced cooking each recipe with great determination. One day, he suddenly received a call from his accomplice. He announced that he had found Soo-yeon's older sister. On the phone screen was a photo. Ma Ryong was startled when he saw it. The woman in the photo was none other than the person Soo-yeon had asked him to find not long ago. After that, Soo-yeon quickly took a taxi to find her sister. Finally, she saw Ji-yeon, the person she had been searching for all these years. Seeing her sister smiling brightly, she felt somewhat reassured, but she could only stand from afar and watch that peace. She did not have the courage to approach because she was afraid of affecting her sister's life. After that, Soo-yeon gathered all her savings and gave it to Ma Ryong as a thank you. But as soon as he saw the money, he refused to accept it and said that he was not the one who found Ji-yeon. So of course he could not accept a single penny. He wondered why she had been searching for all these years. He thought that when they met again, the two would run to hug each other and cry. But Soo-yeon only said that she could not bear to disrupt her sister's peaceful life. Ma Ryong quickly told Kang-ho about this. Kang-ho was so angry that he stood up and prepared to go find Ji-yeon. He wanted to ask his sister if seeing her again would make her lose her happiness. Ma Ryong saw this and asked if Kang-ho liked Soo-yeon. Kang-ho quickly denied it in embarrassment. Ma Ryong also emphasized that Kang-ho could not like her. She was a reserved judge, and he was a man with a criminal record. To put it bluntly, she was the queen, and he was nothing. After hearing this, Kang-ho could only laugh in pain. Then he blamed himself. He admitted that he was inherently a worthless person. After that, he quietly left that place. Kang-ho went to Seoul to find Soo-yeon. Before he could say anything, he saw her back turning away. Kang-ho called Soo-yeon back without hesitation and said that Ji-yeon wanted to see her. Hearing this, she immediately stopped. It turned out that the person behind all the efforts to find Ji-yeon all this time was Kang-ho. Soo-yeon asked if Kang-ho had found Ji-yeon just to see how much he had ruined her work. Kang-ho stood there, not knowing what to say. He had to give her a letter. Kang-ho didn't defend himself. He just told Soo-yeon to open it after meeting Ji-yeon. Then he stuffed the letter into her bag. Then he pulled her into a taxi to meet her sister. After all these years, Soo-yeon finally met her sister again. They didn't have time to say anything. They just hugged each other and cried. Kang-ho didn't dare to come closer. He just silently watched. Ji-yeon's new family welcomed Soo-yeon with warmth and enthusiasm, as if they had been waiting for her for a long time. Ji-yeon now had a husband, children, and a happy family. Soo-yeon was happy to see her sister like that. That evening, the two of them sat next to each other. Soo-yeon slowly told her sister about her life. While the two were talking about the past, Ji-yeon accidentally saw Soo-yeon's wishing bracelet. She immediately said that if the wish came true, the bracelet would come off by itself. Soo-yeon replied that it was probably because there was still one more wish that had not come true. Ji-yeon blamed herself that she was the reason their family broke up. Soo-yeon immediately hugged her sister. She comforted her sister that it was time for them to forget the past and move on together. The next morning, Soo-yeon entered the court. With her excellent internship results, she was officially approved to become a judge. Immediately, her colleagues from her old office came to congratulate Soo-yeon, and they did not forget to ask if there was any news about Soo-ho. She immediately said she did not know, but the assistant said that Soo-ho was busy applying to be a professor at a judicial university. She wondered if he was a chef, but the assistant replied that Soo-ho did not even know how to cook noodles. Soo-yeon was surprised. Then she was asked how she knew he knew how to cook. She had seen it with her own eyes. Soo-yeon couldn't answer. The assistant said, "I saw Soo-ho peel garlic without even knowing where to start." It turned out that everything she had believed all along was not what she thought. At night, Soo-yeon remembered the letter that Kang-ho had stuffed into her pocket, but inside was a long series of criminal records. She quietly flipped to the back of the document. There, he wrote that the person with all the criminal records in the file was himself. The person Soo-yeon thought was the serious judge. Soo-ho was actually Kang-ho, Soo-ho's twin brother. He replaced his brother after his brother went missing. In the letter, he honestly admitted everything. He apologized for having broken the law so many times. He apologized for allowing lies to exist in their relationship, and he apologized for having hoped to be with her even though he knew he was not worthy. Those words made Soo-yeon heartbroken. She wondered why, during the time they were together, she had never realized that truth. Why was she so blind that she did not realize that the person she had interrogated was right in front of her? Remembering the moments they spent together, she burst into tears. When she got home, she had not yet calmed down when she saw the court summons. Without hesitation, she had went to find the bar owner. Soo-yeon hoped that she would stand up as a witness, but she understood too well the danger of confronting power, so she immediately shook her head and refused. She advised Soo-yeon not to confront them. Soo-yeon should not get herself into trouble for a little self-respect. Even the superior at the court came to see her. He thought that someone like her dared to stand up and accuse Director Hong, so she had no right to sit on the judge's chair anymore. No matter how she explained and how reasonable her reasoning was, they still did not believe that someone like Director Hong could lie or act wrongly. The next day when the trial began, all the evidence presented by the lawyers was against Soo-yeon. Meanwhile, Soo-yeon did not have a single piece of evidence. Prosecutor accused Soo-yeon not only of controlling Director Hong, but also of daring to use her position as a judge for personal revenge. Therefore, Soo-yeon deserved to be severely punished. In conclusion, the prosecutor asked the court to sentence her to 3 years in prison. Kang-ho sat below watching every development, unable to help but worry. The presiding judge asked Soo-yeon to make a final statement. After a few seconds of silence, Soo-yeon said that someone had told her that someone was playing with the law, but she did not believe it at the time. Now that she was standing in the place where she should have sat across from him all her life, she realized and understood why he said that. She wanted to send him a message that the law, though though slow, always seeks the truth. The judge recorded her final words and announced that the sentencing hearing would take place next Thursday. Leaving the courthouse, Kang-ho slowly walked to Soo-ho's house, but he didn't dare to ring the bell. In the end, instead of ringing the bell, Kang-hee chose to take out his phone and call. Soo-ho was surprised when he saw the call from Kang-ho, but in the end, he still picked up the phone. During the call, Kang-ho asked Soo-ho to help him with something, even though he knew he had no right to ask Soo-ho for help. But Kang-ho still said that he only asked Soo-ho for help this time because perhaps since he was young, this was the first time he had humbled himself to ask that cold older brother. Kang-ho's voice began to tremble and he burst into tears. At that moment, Soo-ho was surprised and tears started flowing out of his eyes without him realizing it. It wasn't because Soo-ho was angry or pitied Kang-ho, but because for the first time in his life, he felt that he had never fulfilled his duty as an older brother. And that was also the moment he made a decision. This time, he would definitely help his younger brother. At the next court session, the presiding judge picked up a petition with Soo-ho's handwriting. The presiding judge looked at Chief Justice Hong and began to question Judge Soo-ho when he was brought to the disciplinary meeting. If he had ever said something like, "Women who are too skinny are not attractive at all. They have to gain a little weight to look attractive." The entire audience was silent because those words were not only rude but also harassment. But Chief Justice Hong, with his wealth of experience, calmly denied everything. He said that he had never said anything like that. Meanwhile, the petition with Soo-ho's handwriting was still right in front of the judge. The judge immediately argued that the former judge could not have lied, so Chief Hong said that even if it was true, he would not remember it because it had been so long ago. Immediately after that, the judge summoned the secret witness to court. When Kang-ho appeared, the whole court was shocked. Chief Hong was so scared that he could not sit still. Even the presiding judge was surprised because Kang-ho appeared like a copy of Soo-ho. In front of everyone, Kang-ho recounted everything that happened during his detention. Then Kang-ho pointed directly at Chief Hong and accused him. After considering all the statements, the judge concluded that Chief Hong's actions and words had directly caused mental damage, making the defendant feel humiliated. Therefore, Soo-yeon's accusation was completely well-founded and not a baseless slander as the prosecution had asserted. Right at the court, Soo-yeon was officially declared innocent. As for the director Hong, his face turned red with anger and he threw away his bowl. He cursed and then left. Soo-yeon could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Soo-yeon turned to look at Kang-ho with grateful eyes. Then the two of them left the court and walked together among the quiet trees. Kang-ho at this moment looked like a child who had made a mistake. He quietly followed her without daring to look up. Soo-yeon blamed Kang-ho for hiding the truth all this time, but she did not forget to thank him for helping her find her sister. She was officially a judge of court, and at the same time she held a law degree in her hand. Hearing that, Kang-ho immediately refused to give up. He quickly showed off that he had a chef's degree in hand. She said that if that was the case, then he should go into the kitchen and cook for her. He said that he did not know what her taste was. She asked again what delicious dishes he could cook. He confidently said that he could cook anything he could. She immediately concluded that he should cook everything for her at once. At that moment, Kang-ho gathered all his courage and held Soo-yeon's hand. This time, he would definitely not let her go. At that moment, her wish bracelet suddenly fell off, as if her last wish had finally come true. The drama ended here. Thank you for watching, and now it's goodbye, and see you again.